Hey, I figured I'd do a little video. I meant to record all kinds of work on this Blazer. Hopefully, give some guys some tips or advice. You know, if they want to LS swap, lift and whatnot, older Blazer. So it is a ton of work, way more than I ever expected. I had no idea really what I was getting myself into. We just kind of like on a whim drove by salvage yard. And we're like, yeah, let's get an LS. My little V6 here is getting tired. The little thing was getting like 10, 12 miles to the gallon. It's horrible. So I'm like, yeah, just buy an LS, you know, get some engine mounts, blah, blah, blah. We'll be done. We'll do it in a month or something. Ha! That was March of 23. You know, in August of 24. It's close to moving under its own power. Not quite. It's really close. I drove the other day just forward and back, but yeah, still got a lot of lift. Flip this camera around so we can zoom out. Oh, cool. Even better. So anyways, this is my 96 Blazer. It is four-wheel drive. You can see the axles underneath there. It's gone through some big changes. You can see it's kind of tall now. My doors are 30 inches from the ground. Now this thing is sitting 2 to 3 inches higher right now, just barely, so the wheels could come off. I was doing a full brake thing. I've even got I've had to remake brake lines and whatnot. Lots of fun. So I ended up scoring this 5.3 LS motor, and then I tore it all apart. So broke it down. I found a nice BTR, the Truck North camshaft kit. Came with springs and lifters, and it was like a whole kit. So it came a lot of, some good hardware to start. And then I picked up a set of new pistons. They're the flat top. They're like OEM spec. They just have they're better quality with some, fancy slippery sides and skirts and whatnot. So as that goes, that's OEM, but I sent the whole block and heads off, got a full valve job done. The heads and the block, everything got machined. Everything. So this thing came back looking like brand new. So yeah, it was, I think it's going to pay off, because having a brand new block, essentially, everything was remachined, everything's decked. All the tolerances, new cam bearings. That was one of the main things, is cam bearings. If you're going to put a cam in, you want to attempt putting a cam in with old cam bearings, I guess have at it, but no thanks. It's just not worth the risk. So, yeah, been a lot into this thing. I even put a gigantic 4-core radiator in it. It has dual electric fans. And I wanted electric fans, get away from the old manual fan with the clutch and whatnot, and I shaved down the little pulley on the water pump there just to make it clear. It was that snug in here. It's crazy. A lot of work to find a hose that fit. This whole thing has been such a project, but it's sitting on I bought a Rough Country 2-inch lift, and that didn't give me like any clearance for the front diff to the oil pan. There's rags everywhere anyway. So, but the can't really see it in there anyways. But the front diff was the big issue with the oil pan. So I ended up I cut into the oil pan. Yeah, it was aluminum. So I paid an aluminum welder to cut it and trim it, which was just a waste of time and money. So, and then I went back and found the 6-inch Rough Country lift kit, and that's what this is now. I had Bilstein shocks. They're somewhere back there in that corner. But these shocks, even though they're singles and they look small, they have quite a thick freaking piston. The shaft in them is girthy. So, yeah, this lift kit wasn't too bad of a project. There's quite a lot actually of trimming on the frame to get things like this hardware, all these brackets to go on. You'll be drilling brackets. That's covered for painting later, but that's a bracket that goes on the side of the frame that you actually have to drill holes sideways and up. So like there's a bit of work to do on this lift kit. Even in the back, thick shocks, and then you do some blocks that just go. You put your leafs over the axle, and previously they were underneath. All new brakes on this thing. I mean, I'm making my own brake lines for some of the old brake lines just because I've changed some of the hardware. Gotten rid of the ABS. That's not on here anymore. This is the stock exhaust. It's actually plumbed into the stock muffler just temporarily. I got a nice Borla muffler over. So, yeah, that little gray box straight ahead down there. A nice 2 in and 2 out, 2.5 in and out. Borla muffler that'll be going on this, and then full routed, and probably go out to dual tips. I don't know. Figure something out. I'll just take it to the muffler shop. There's one like a mile away. But yeah, and a friend gave me these 3-inch blocks. He just happened to have some. It was a 10-pack. Just all I had to do was go get these bolts. So I bought like stainless steel bolts for this bad boy, and then inserted, set those up. That was pretty easy. I don't even think I messed with the fuel hose. Like, I disconnected the emergency brake cable, but these 3-inch blocks were pretty effortless to get installed. It's pretty easy. Yeah, so if you want to LS swap your Blazer, I do recommend doing like a 2-inch lift block on the body, if not 3 if you find them. These were just given to me, so I just decided to put them in there. But the firewall, it's crazy wiring. The valve cover is like just barely clear. I even did this Holley airbag on this side here for the AC side, and that saves you a bunch of room over here. It's such a mess because I have like my OEM harness and the Holley jammed in there. So yeah, so like everybody says they can't fit their coils by the booster, and this is the only way it works. I mean, it's just barely kind of lightly touching it, but it works. It's not grounding or anything, but I actually have room in the back there, just a little bit. Fully dynamated as much as I can in here. So I did inside the fenders. You'll see inside the cab in a second. Like even way back there inside this fender, there's Dynamat in there. So, and then I even did the Holley Terminator X-Max computer setup. It is nice. Wiring is very, very easy for that setup, but it's a standalone system. It does run your computer or transmission, 4L60, the series of that. If you want to do a 6L 60 or 80, whatever they are, you can buy like a $500 module to add to that, and you can add paddle shifters to your transmission. Endless tuning on those things. It's crazy. So you got to do a lot of research, figure out how to use it, but you can get your engine started up and running fairly quickly. Just it needs to get tuned though. Yeah, been a lot through this thing. Every piece of the AC is new. Everything. Every hose. I have to get a new hose for there to the compressor, condenser, dryer, everything. Even the little piece inside behind the dash, I always forget what it's called. Heater core is new. The fan for the AC and heat's new. New master cylinder. That's the old one. I've got a new one down there. So putting that back in. And then I bought this little adjustable Willwood for the front rear. I've cut my lines, and then so I need to put all these back in. Little fuel pressure regulator. This is like a common one. It's like for Corvettes. It's like 58, 53 psi regulated. Fairly easy. I used a fuel hose kit from this Evil Industries. You can find them all day long on Amazon. It seemed to work just fine. Oops. Connects right back there to your fuel rail. I even found a fuel pressure sensor. That little guy there plugs into your Holley harness, and then you can read your actual fuel pressure as well, which is nice. I've graded all my wires are all 4 gauge now, to the frame, to alternator, to the battery. Yeah, it's very good to do 4 gauge wires everywhere, at least for your ground and to your starter. I've got an amp and sub's gonna go in here too, so yeah. But anyways, I chose to go with these 35-inch tires. I almost did 33s, and I'm glad I didn't because they are still look barely big enough on this thing. I think I got wide angle a little bit, so it looks a little off. Yeah. So yeah, these 35s look pretty dang good, and they don't stick out very much. Just a little bit as profile goes. You know, they're not past like my mirror. They're out about inch, 2 inches, I'd say. So, and these are 35 by 12 and a half, 15s, rims and tires, and then 15-inch rims by 8, stock are 7. I wanted to get new wheels anyway, so I went with these, and they're 1 inch wider. The 8's a little easier to mount the 35s on. Let's see what else. All the brakes are new, like all the way around. Every piece, drums, the pistons, calipers. Not all the brake lines, some of them, because I got rid of the ABS, so I'm making my own to that diverter, and then to some of the calipers. New bushings, whatnot, just to make things better ride. And then even in like inside, so inside I'm still working door skin, but I even went with like new carpet. I found this on like a clearance or something. It's extra thick, and then I fully dynamatted the entire cab. I've got to do up top, we'll do that later, but the doors are done and the entire floor. So I have to put all this back together, sort out the dash soon. It's coming along. But yeah, look, the entire floor all dynamatted. I'm gonna put some back here in the sides too before I close that up. This carpet was great. I forgot where I found it, maybe Rock Auto or something. And for some reason, this gigantic black one, the extra thick, was like on a closeout or something. The front piece fits like a glove. The contours, everything. The rear half, it kind of separates here underneath the seats. And so the rear one comes extra big. It does have its shape, but it's like overly large. You get like a bunch of extra. It even included the pieces for the back tailgate. There's a plastic panel here. It gets a piece. The 2 flaps that go behind the seat, or the seats fold down, and those back panels. There's one in here somewhere. Oh, there it is. Comes with carpet for those too. But taking the old carpet off is a pain because it's like crazy strong adhesive. So I love this thing. It's so much fun. This was Gibby's old Blazer, and I love this thing. I'll go camping in it. You just drop the tailgate. You drop your tailgate here. That lays down, and your glass goes up. And so you can just sleep in there. The middle seats go down flat. So aside from like a little bit of wheel humps, I mean, tons of room in this thing. So it's great for camping. And now it's a giant on stilts. So these behemoths here. So it wasn't a plan to make this thing a monster truck almost, but it just ended up being that way. Just because the clearance for that oil pan is such a nightmare. So lots of new things. I mean, from the firewall forward, about everything in there is new. Every piece of suspension, everything on the motor, aside from the alternator, all new. Every single piece I ended up buying. It's just, I kept finding things that were broken. I've even had brand new power steering pump was broken, leaking the minute I tried it. So it's been like tons and tons of headaches getting everything. Cutting to get the radiator to fit in there. Brake lines is a pain in the butt if you've never done them. This is my first time doing brake lines, so yeah, it's a lot of fun. So this thing is taking me forever. New headlights, got LEDs in those. It's just, I've tried to put new everything to try to eliminate problems. You know, just make it easy, but it's like everything I've added causes another problem. It seems like this thing's been the never-ending battle, but it's getting closer. It actually does start up. It idles really good now. It takes a little while to figure out some of the basic tuning for the Holly X-Max, Terminator X-Max. There's endless information online about them. But these Blazers are a lot of fun. I think they made a gazillion of them. So they're great. They're easy to get parts for. But if you do want to LS swap, I highly recommend doing a lift kit. It's extra work, but your oil pan clearance is a big headache because of the front differential. So I've still got to re-gear this thing. My transmission is like 1 year since a rebuild, but I'm gonna get that thing rebuilt and then change the rear end. I've still got the drums and the smaller rear end. It's a 7.5 instead of 8.5. So, I'm gonna have to find a newer rear end that has the disc brakes and 8.5 differential in the back. Get that swapped out, but then probably get the taller gearing. So this rough country kit is pretty beefy. Got some nice brush guards in the front. You even got another one that goes underneath the diff itself. It's a pretty well built kit, but if you're not, we got like a plasma cutter over here, so that made things a lot easier. But there is some good amount of cutting. There's a lot of brackets and whatnot you gotta lob off because the new hardware gets in the way. Man, there's just so much on this thing I could talk about, but I want to at least cover some things. The steering shaft, I actually found one that was a double bearing. That's always a chore. There's one that from a Jeep. So what I did is I took a wheel. I have this gigantic bearing. It's just kind of tacked. I initially put a spring around it, but tacked that wheel bearing. Weld that in, but it just adds support and keeps it completely clear. It's got dual joints, one top, one bottom. Keeps that steering shaft completely away from the headers. So these are, I think, the commonly known, what people call muscle car eBay type headers. I got them on Amazon as well. They're big. They were shiny and chrome, but I've heated them up a little bit. So, yeah, air filter might just stay there. I actually bought a elbow, but if I elbow it and go this way, it'll run into this pulley. If I go elbow that way, it runs into the AC pulley. So I almost considered actually set it up initially where this thing just went straight up, like considering putting a hole in the hood. So I don't know, still contemplating that, but highly recommend Dynamat. It makes your car ride so much quieter. So I don't know if you can see how much I cut in this right here. It's like all I cut into there just to get this bad boy to fit. It's a behemoth. So lots of little challenges like wiring in your fans. One of the biggest challenges on these things when you LS swap, if you go with like the Holly's computer is pretty easy. Like it has its own very specific and tidy harness that plugs in all its sensors, and it basically needs electricity, like power and ground, and a couple of signal wires so that it can detect when the key is on. So the Holly system is relatively easy. There's one little 3.5-inch screen that goes inside. I actually recommend putting that computer inside. I wish I put it in a glove box, but whatever. And then you can get bigger LCD screens for the Holly system. I think eventually I'll go to that. But that system is awesome because everything is fully tunable. Your transmission, your shift points, torque converter, lock it up at different RPMs. I mean, you just can really customize everything with that Holly. It's wild. So you pay someone online. There's guys everywhere that will do a tune for you for like $300 or so, give or take. All you do is go drive it, save your file, you email it to them, and they'll send you back another one. They do it like 3 times, and then you will have a nice, pretty dialed in motor. Get you down the road comfortably that you can trust and not have hiccups and whatever. So yeah, so if you got a older Blazer, then these 95, 96 ones are just the worst of all the years because the electrical's a big pain in the butt. I actually had to keep the stock ECU is right underneath the Holly, and a bunch of its harness because all the electrical in the whole cab, the windows, rear defrost, like door locks, dash, everything comes not only in this side of the firewall and wires up, it goes over there and goes into that firewall. So I had to keep a stock ECU just to keep everything running. And these years don't have an actual fuse block up here. All you have is this little power distribution board. Your fuses are actually in the driver door right inside. It's strange. I think just 2 years. They did a lot of weird things on this for the new body style. Of course, they do try new things and whatnot. So maybe this gives some people some ideas and whatnot. But it is a lot of work. I think it'll be worth it. I sure hope so. 'Cause it's been a lot. So even things like there's the engine mounts. It's like a dual stack one. You get like a silver billet aluminum and then another plate that's fully adjustable. And then you kind of have like these round, typical round cylinder like mounts that bolt right to the frame. So they're pretty easy. I've kind of put foil protection around a lot of my wires. I don't want to risk anything trying to catch fire. Drive shaft so far seem perfect. The front drive shaft doesn't change because it is bolted to the lift kit. So the transfer case, like everything gets readjusted and to a new height. So all that stays the same. It's just the rear. Your rear is going to have a little more angle to it. Doesn't look extreme. Doesn't look too bad at all. But that's a little bit of a change. So, yep. I wish I pulled the body off. Highly recommend that. I wish I did that to begin with because that would have made things a lot easier. It's like these 10 body mounts. You can see them. They're all red. So I bought new bushing kits, of course. But, yeah. 10 bushings and a couple of wire harnesses in your emergency brake cable. The steering shaft actually is like sliding, can unbuckle. So maybe fuel lines and things, but yeah, it's really probably not a whole lot to pull the body off and do the change everything out, like the whole drivetrain, LS and whatnot. So I think we're doing that soon. My buddy's Grand Wagoneer, after he saw this, he's got an old Grand Wagoneer. He wants to LS swap next. So yep. Anyways, hopefully that helps somebody. If you have any questions, just leave some comments below. Usually fairly quick. That day or a few days, I'll get back to you. If you have any questions, like it's been a challenge, so hopefully I can help somebody else make their life a little easier. Because yeah, I just kind of did this on a whim, but it's coming along. It's just about there. Finish some brake lines, tidy up a little bit of wires. And I think all the running gear is good now. Yeah, all the drivetrain is good. So, yeah. All right. Well, have any questions, post below. All right. Thanks.